evening. I'm Marvi Sirmed and this is Unraveled. In the last episode, we told you about the story of the Jammul, a young man beaten, humiliated, and stripped in public during the Kawar Yatra for the simple act of serving tea while being Muslim. That episode laid bare a disturbing truth that a spiritual pilgrimage, Kawar Yatra, meant for devotion, is increasingly being hijacked by hate, suspicion, and manufactured outrage. But the Kawar Yatra is not the only sacred tradition facing this kind of distortion. Across India, temples and pilgrimages from Ayodhya to Amarnath, from Prayagraj to Mount Kailash in China, are being woven into a larger political tapestry that elevates majoritarian identity while pushing constitutional secularism to the margins. In this episode, as we promised in the last one, we take a wider lens. We ask, how did Hindu religiosity, once a deeply personal and pluralistic, diverse expression of faith, become a vehicle for ideological conquest? How are sacred festivals being turned into platforms for political messaging? And what does that mean for India's minorities, especially Muslims, its democracy, and its global standing? From the Babri Masjid demolition and the subsequent construction of Ram Mandir to the overt communalization of Kawar Yatra, from the orchestrated spectacle of the Maha Kumbh Mela to the militarization of Amarnath Yatra in Kashmir, Hindu religiosity has become a potent instrument in the playbook of political majoritarianism. Let us unravel. The trajectory of temple politics in modern India can be traced back to December 6, 1992, maybe before, but this happened in front of our eyes, when Kar Sevaks, affiliated with Hindu nationalist organizations, demolished the 16th century Babri Masjid in Ayodhya, claiming it was built atop the birthplace of the Hindu deity Lord Ram. This singular act, widely condemned at the time, marked the formal entry of Hindutva ideology into mainstream Indian politics. The demolition, far from being a spontaneous act of faith, was a premeditated political move led by senior leaders of BJP at that time and the RSS, of course. What followed was years of sectarian violence, court battles, and eventually a controversial Supreme Court judgment in 2019 that handed over the disputed land to Hindu groups while acknowledging that the demolition was unlawful. Now, I mean, much can be said about that judgment and what happened aftermath of that judgment. We can have a separate episode or maybe a series of episodes on that. Thanks to so many Indian secularists and rights activists from India, Hindus and predominantly Hindus, they have highlighted why this decision was controversial and what devastating aftermath it has produced. So we will go into that in another episode. For now, let's fast forward to January 22, 2024, last year, just before the Lok Sabha election campaigns were starting. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya in a grand state-sponsored event. The presence of top ministers, judges, civil servants, media barons, actors, movie stars, it transformed what could have been a religious milestone into a nationalistic spectacle. The ceremony blurred the lines between the state and religion in a secular republic. I mean, further blurred. The blurring had started much before that. Another very significant religious event in India is Kumbh Mela. Now, Kumbh Mela it is of different kinds. There's Magh Mela, which happens every year, significant, but it happens every year. So then there is Kumbh Mela, which is every 4 years. There is, let me quickly pull out what the different types of, I'm just looking at Maha Kumph's official website. So according to this, so there are different kinds. One is Magh Mela, is said every year. Then there is Kumbh Mela, which happens every 4 years. Then there is Ardh Kumbh Mela, which happens once in 6 years. Then there is Purna Kumbh Mela, which happens once in 12 years. Now, this year, in 2024, there was Maha Kumbh Mela. This happens once in 144 years. Just imagine the significance. Maha Kumbh happens once in more than a century, once around 1.5 century. 144 years. And 2024 was that year. Now, it's one of the largest and oldest pilgrimage festivals. So held in different kinds of rotations, as I mentioned earlier. And it happens in, at 4 different locations. These are usually the river, not usually, these are essentially the riverbank pilgrimage sites: Prayagraj, Haridwar, Ujjain, and Nashik. So, as I said, the most significant of them all is the Maha Kumbh Mela. It draws tens of millions of pilgrims over for a holy dip at the confluence of Ganges, Ganga, Yamuna, and the mythical Saraswati rivers. In 2024, as I said earlier, Maha Kumbh was organized, and it was a grand festival. Literally millions of devotees and pilgrims participated from around the world, wherever Hindu community exists around the world. You could see that kind of cultural diversity you could see in Maha Kumbh Mela. It was infused with, but it was infused with a political aura. So Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, a saffron-robed monk, and rising figure within BJP, mind you, giving a competition to Prime Minister Narendra Modi within BJP. He took center stage. So according to one report of the New York Times that was published in February 2025, the event was used to project an image of cultural resurgence aligned with Hindu pride and national identity, Hindutva nationalism. And in that hyped event, public funding was utilized not only for sanitation and crowd management, but also to amplify ideological messaging. Religious devotion was entangled with political ideology, weakening the pluralistic and synergetic tradition that had long defined the Kumbh as a melting pot of beliefs. That said, Kumbh also presents an economic opportunity. For centuries, these pilgrimages have sustained artisans, vendors, transporters, workers, many of them Muslims also, Muslims, Dalits, and other marginalized communities. This festival has a potential to foster communal harmony and economic integration. that potential is now endangered by the polarization through which these events are increasingly viewed in India. Similarly, Kawar Yatra, we talked about Kawar Yatra in the last episode. It's a North Indian pilgrimage undertaken during the Hindu months of Shravan, which falls in July, August. Um, and this, for this pilgrimage, devotees of Lord Shiva, also known as Kavariyas, collect water from Ganges and carry it to Shiv temples at different locations in their hometowns and different locations. So this pilgrimage historically symbolized and symbolizes penance, humility. It is undertaken mostly in silence and austerity. No more. In recent years, especially in 2024 and now in 2025, the yatra has undergone a dramatic transformation. It now involves massive processions, loudspeakers, blaring devotional music mixed with nationalistic slogans, confrontational behavior, aggression, um, you know, arrogance, aggression, violent behavior towards the bypassers, anyone who comes in the way. In 2024, the UP government ordered shopkeepers to display their names prominently, a move widely interpreted as a mechanism for religious profiling, as we explained in the last episode. This triggered a chilling effect on Muslim vendors, especially. Many of these Muslim vendors closed their shops, fearing mob attacks, and which actually happened in 2024, and in the latest instance, the Jammul alias Gopal, and we discussed that case in the last episode. In Muzaffarnagar, a Muslim delivery worker was assaulted for hiding his identity. There was it's the same. The Jammul in Hapur, vigilante groups forcibly closed Muslim-run eateries. There were other instances. Then these instances are happening this year also in July 2025. We are recording this program on 12th of July, and so far many incidents of violent incidents have happened against bypassers, and these people who are the victims of this violence by Kavadiyas are not just Muslims. The pity is they are from other marginalized classes, anyone actually, no matter Hindu or. So it's the aggression and violent aggression that comes out from Kavadiyas, which is very unusual. I mean, a Muslim man in Amroha, young man, he was attacked for, just looking at Kawar procession. And in Shamli, Muslim vendors, there was an allegation that Muslim vendors were tampering with food. I explained what kind of tampering they allege the Muslims of doing with food. So in Shamli, that Muslim young man was attacked and badly beaten, and it sparked different other attacks of the same kind. Yet, amid this darkness, there have also been rays of light. In several towns, Muslims welcomed Kawar pilgrims with food and water, as has been customary for decades. In Meerut and Haridwar, local Muslim communities erected stalls offering refreshments to passing devotees. These acts of compassion often go unreported, but they do reflect the grassroots strength of communal harmony. There was a report in The Wire in which I was seeing that even in Muzaffarnagar, where tensions ran high, certain Muslim shopkeepers reopened their stores, and they were, because you can't go without earning for many days. These are low income groups. So the Muslims who had to reopen their stores, uh, because they had to put food on their tables, right? And they were protected by their Hindu neighbors. Now, these stories remind us that the political class may incite division, but ordinary citizens continue to uphold India's composite culture. Now come to Amarnath Yatra. It is held annually in Jammu and Kashmir, one of Hinduism's most venerated pilgrimages. And pilgrims travel to Amarnath Cave Shrine, where a naturally formed ice lingam is worshipped as a manifestation of Lord Shiva. This year, Amarnath Yatra has acquired heightened symbolic meaning in the wake of Pahalgam terror attack. Now, in Pahalgam terror attack, Hindus were targeted and were identified and then were killed in broad daylight in front of their families. This attack was condemned across religious and political lines, including by Muslims, civil society groups, and all over India, in Kashmir especially, by the neighboring countries all over the world. It was condemned. In the aftermath, there emerged a remarkable wave of solidarity. We saw that solidarity. The Muslims from Kashmir, Muslim communities in Anantnag, Pahalgam, they held peace marches, candlelight vigils. Shopkeepers reopened their businesses to serve the tourists at that time. Muslim pony handlers, porters, local guides who have long facilitated the yatra, they continued their work with even greater commitment, and they're still doing that. The peaceful continuation of this yatra, Amarnath Yatra, post-attack, it is being seen as a rebuke to extremist violence, and it really is. Many Kashmiris view the successful, Kashmiri means, Kashmir is a Muslim majority state. So many of the Kashmiris, they view the successful conduct of this yatra as a shared act of defiance against religiously motivated terror. Now, this yatra, while marked by heightened security, is also a testament to the enduring potential of faith as a bridge rather than a wall. And also the economic benefits that it generates are substantial, from to tourism, to accommodation, to local crafts, food services. It provides seasonal employment to tens of thousands, cutting across religious lines. In Kashmir, it's a predominantly Muslim population. In Jammu, it's a majority Hindu population. So it's like you can't miss the religious harmony in the air, and that should continue. That should be celebrated, and that should be supported. And we will talk about in the next episode how some of the BJP leaders are hell-bent on destroying that in their own country. This happens in the world. World is a strange place. And now, lastly, how can we forget about the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra? It is undertaken in Tibet, one of the most sacred pilgrimages for Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and Bon followers. The pilgrimage to Mount Kailash and Lake Mansarovar, it symbolizes cosmic balance, self-purification, and universal connection. Most recently, India and China restored this Yatra route, which had been suspended due to pandemic-related closures in 2020. And then in the same year, there were border tensions between China and India, so it was closed. But recently, during one of the SCO meetings that was held in China, Indian minister, Indian delegate, the sitting union minister, probably Rajnath Singh was there. There were two meetings. One was the defense ministers meeting, and another was probably the national security advisors meeting. I think it was Rajnath Singh who who made this move and requested China to for the restoring the tradition of this cross-border religious tourism between China and India, and it happened, and it was there were stunningly beautiful videos and pictures that are emerging from that yatra. Our friend, my friend from across the border, Suhasini Heather, has reported brilliantly, and as other journalists from that location. So do check that out as well. But this move is not only about spiritual exchange; it is also about diplomatic normalization. So that's also good. In the backdrop of strained bilateral ties, such cultural linkages offer avenues for dialogue and mutual trust, which is much needed in these times of heightened tension. So this is an important precedent, which Pakistan and India could also follow and think about. Pilgrimage diplomacy, when genuinely pursued, it can play a healing role in strained geopolitical relations. And I think this model must be explored more seriously across South Asia, whether it's Kartarpur corridor between Pakistan and India or potential Buddhist pilgrimage circuits, across Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan. This religious heritage can be a source of soft power, reconciliation, and regional cooperation. And this offers an opportunity that South Asian countries must not miss. Finally, sacred journeys, should they remain sacred or they should become political expeditions? That's a question. I want to be very clear. Hindu pilgrimages are not the problem. Any religion's pilgrimages are not the problem. Faith in all its forms has long had the power to inspire compassion. It connects communities and creates shared meaning across differences. But when that faith is manipulated, when temples become election stages, when pilgrimages are turned into parades of political supremacy, the cost is borne not just by minorities, but by democracy itself, by countries as a whole. India's ruling establishment has increasingly chosen to mobilize religion not as a moral compass, but as a weapon of control. And in doing so, it has not only betrayed the spirit of its own secular constitution, but also deepened the chasm between its own communities, within its borders and across them also. The consequences reverberate far beyond Ayodhya or Prayagraj. They reach into the streets of Kashmir, the diplomatic halls of entire South Asia, and the tense borders India shares with its neighbors, east or west, north or south. For those of us watching from outside from Pakistan, outside from India, from the broader region, from the diaspora, India was never expected to be perfect. It was not perfect, but it was expected to be principled because it was democratic. The democratic tradition and democratic institutions were much stronger in India than any other country in the region. So when it fails that test, it doesn't just disappoint its own citizens. It reshapes the moral landscape of the entire region. The question is no longer whether religion is being politicized. The question now is, who will speak up before all that is sacred, faith, fraternity, freedom, is lost to the fire of manufactured majoritarianism. Think about that. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Marvi Sirmed, and this has been Unraveled. See you next time. Have a good one.